So what happens after your case is finally filed with U.S. Immigration? My name is Soyuna Tak, and I wanted to take a moment to describe kind of the big picture process of how your immigration case, your marriage-based request for a green card filed with USCIS inside the country, how that progresses once it's filed. My hope is that knowing kind of how it goes, hopefully it'll lessen any stresses or anxiety because there's multiple steps in the process and there are times where there's not much communication back from immigration. So before starting, I want to point out that I'm going to give kind of very general timelines because the truth is, especially since the pandemic, in today's world, the timelines and the processing times change and have a lot of variation. So I'm going to cover that in a separate videos so that they're more current. But I'm going to provide more general timelines just to give you an idea for this video. So if you're interested in specific processing times, I encourage you to watch the other ones. So first, after you file, and we of course use a trackable service so that we know that the package has been received at the appropriate immigration location. Because you're not going to get anything for, maybe a couple weeks or even longer. So it'll give you peace of mind, and it gives our clients peace of mind when we know that it's been received. So, like I said, it typically takes probably a couple weeks, but during the pandemic especially, there were times where there were issues with receipt notice issuance by the government. So those were delayed by a month or even months. But hopefully things are back to normal, and at least in that regard. And we're seeing those probably within a couple of weeks to a month. So once you receive the receipt notices, which should be 4 of them. Now, of course, there are more forms filed with the government than just 4, but those are the 4 that you would receive receipt notices for, being the I-130 petition, filed by the U.S. citizen or permanent resident spouse, and the Form I-45, which is a request for the green card itself, Form I-765, which is a request for permission to work, and Form I-131, which is the request for permission to be able to travel outside of the country and return to the United States during this process, because you should not do that if you haven't been approved for the I-131 or the advanced parole. So once you receive the receipt notices, I would say probably within a week or maybe a month of receiving the receipt notices, typically the biometrics notice is issued. So this is an appointment letter, and the government is telling you, and the date is probably, I would say, about 3 to 4 weeks from the date of that biometrics notice, the day you have to show up and get fingerprinted. So biometrics is another word for fingerprints. So, and it's really important, of course, that you go and get your fingerprints done, because that is required for all the security and background checks that must be completed prior to issuing any approvals on a green card. So once you do the biometrics, go and get your fingerprints done. And by the way, that's not done at the district or field office of USCIS. That's done at an application support center. So there are a bunch of them around, and it's based on your home address. Probably after the fingerprinting is the longest period of radio silence from immigration. So it probably will be months of nothing. So don't worry, things are being done and your case should be progressing. And so after a bunch of time has passed, hopefully if all goes well, you should be receiving 2 approval notices. And that would be for the I-765, which was your request for the ability to work, so work permission, and the I-131, which was the request for the ability to travel outside of the country and to come back without having a green card application be considered abandoned, which would be terrible. So, and along with those 2 approvals, it's been a number of years where the government typically issues what we call a combo card. So it looks like a little driver's license, and that is your work authorization document or your work authorization card. And there's a notation that also serves as evidence of advanced parole. And advanced parole is that travel permission. So, and it's really important that you have that card, although sometimes the government may issue a paper advance parole, for example, but that's maybe beyond the topic of this video, so I digress. Anyway, so you should receive those, and that'll be really great because then you can work, you can hopefully travel, and that'll make, life, a little bit more freedom and options. So sometime after that, you should receive your interview notice. And that is really exciting because then you're really close. And the interview notice, that's for the couple, for both of you to show up and attend an interview with an immigration officer at the district office. And again, the office that you're in, typically in the same state, but sometimes not, because it's based on your address and probably where, which office is closer. And the interview notice will give you an appointment date for your immigration interview. That's probably about a month or a little over a month away. So, and it's of course really important to prepare and be really ready, and it's exciting. At least I think it's exciting. And then you will then of course attend the interview. Hopefully all goes well at the interview. And after that, if so, then there should be approvals on your case. Now, before addressing the approvals, at any point along this process, there can be a request for evidence. So the government wants more information. It can be after you file, it can be even after the interview if the officer wants more information. And of course, it's really important that you make the proper response and provide the information that they're requesting. So again, assuming that all went well, then you should receive probably within a fairly short amount of time, 2 approval notices. And that would be for the I-130, which is a petition filed by the U.S. citizen or permanent resident spouse. And that means that U.S. immigration agrees that your marriage is not a fraudulent marriage or done to evade immigration laws, but that you're in a bona fide, good faith relationship and marriage. So, and then the second approval notice is the I-485, which was your request for a green card. So that means you are approved to be a permanent resident of the United States, which is very exciting. So as far as the timeline, we've had approvals, those notices, dated the same day as the interview. And we've had some that have been delayed by a few months. And part of it has to do with, of course, how your interview went, but also it's about the officer having the opportunity to, kind of close out the case and finish it and put it into the system and all of that. So the details of that we'll cover elsewhere, but typically, those approval notices should be forthcoming if everything went well and your case is approved. Now, you'll get another mailing, which is actually the plastic green card. And of course, that's super exciting. And you should pay attention because it doesn't come with any special fanfare. It just comes in what looks like a pretty regular envelope. So pay attention. But once you receive your green card, which is not green at all, then you have, the thing that you've been waiting for. And hopefully it makes your life moving forward much better. And so you can live and be with your loved one and in the place that you want to be. So hopefully this is helpful. And again, like I said, I'm hoping that, I know that it seems like a lot of steps, but hopefully knowing this kind of big picture lessens any anxiety and stress. So have a wonderful day, and please let us know if you have any questions. Thanks. If you like this content, check out these videos for more information regarding immigration. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you want to be notified when we post weekly. You can also follow us on social media where we give more information on immigration and business law.